Alrighty, here we go. G'day, Stu from UAVFutures. Welcome to Happy Flying, our weekly live stream. We're going to be going through talking all things FPV, but I want to say first and foremost, thank you for you guys being here. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to be answering a whole bunch of your questions, generally just hanging out, having a good time for the next hour or so. So if you're into FPV, you want a safe, fun place just to hang out, talk shop, and chat with some other like-minded people, you are in the right place. And I can see it sounds like my audio is working as well, which is always a good way to start the day. Let's see who's in the chat as well. And then we're going to go through and I'm going to talk about what's coming up on the stream. If this is your first time here, just to let you know that also we have a bit of a focus on positive mental health as well, and just being not letting people feel alone or isolated or anything like that, because that's a big driver of this stream. Is not only do we talk FPV, but we also want to reach out to those people who might be suffering or feeling just not like themselves or not quite right, and to let them know that they're not alone and they're not valued as well. So let's see. We've got a couple of members in the chat. We've got Spruny FPV. I can see Every Day with Bruno. He's waving as well. Happy Flyer RC saying the legend has arrived. Hopefully you're talking about yourself. Right there, we got Suncoast, a whole bunch of people tuning in. So yeah, welcome. This is the best part of my working week. It sort of kicks off the week, gets me excited for talking all things FPV, and I don't just a way to connect with you guys, to answer your questions, hang out, because remember, I'm just a guy who likes flying these crazy little drones around, and it's great to see some other people out there because I get excited about it. My poor family is probably sick of me talking about drones, but I know I can talk to them about you guys. So let's do it. Oh, I forgot to scroll down right here. We got Leo M. He's still flying the trash can. Well, that is not only is that the wildest name I think someone has ever released a product for, that's a pretty old drone. So I'm glad that that's still working. All right. Let me tell you what is coming up in today's stream. So of course I need to talk about a little bit about mental health and the Spills Tea podcast that I was on recently. I'll be able to link that after this show. A message for beginners. If you are new to the hobby, I was reading some posts this morning and just like some great advice of like, leave it alone, stop touching it. Because a lot of times they will go off the deep end trying to adjust some things. And it's just like the way to claw back drones can be so specific that it's going to be like, man, I've spent $1,000 and now I can't even get this thing to fly. We're going to be talking a little bit about Ruby. So I've been flying this around right here. So we'll be talking about this air unit and my experiences with this VRX, I should say, with this right here with the Ruby air unit. So doing that from RunCam. And now I want to talk a little about ready to fly kits and are they worth it? Which one should you get? Which one should you stay away from? What to look for? What are some like bad pitfalls or traps that beginners might come into when they're going to jump into FPV? I want to maybe touch on some action cameras, especially with things like the 04 Pro out. Like, are they actually worth it nowadays? We're going to be answering your questions as well. So if you have anything that you want to know about FPV, please put that in the chat down below. Or even if you're just flying, if you just got a general statement, you want to share your enjoyment of FPV or a question, please throw that in. I have this to show you. So we're going to be talking about this. Get excited, chat, because I never thought this would be the day. We've got this monstrosity that we finally have back. So I'm going to be talking a little bit right there. That basically answers flying FPVs down under. So yeah, here's the VTOL. We're going to be talking about this right here. And I couldn't be happier, I must say. And then 10 years in FPV. So I cannot believe this. I looked back and had a look at my streams. And when I first started, and I was like, oh, we must be coming up firstly on our stream anniversary. So we must have started streaming about a year ago, every Monday here, week in, week out. It's probably Sunday where most of the audience is watching. But for me, it's like, when did I start YouTube? And it was this month. I should probably do something special for it, because 10 years ago, I uploaded my first FPV content. And then I think next month in October, June, July, August, September, October. Okay, a couple of months there. We're not that far in the future in Australia, but maybe it's like next month or 2 months. I'll have to check the actual date. But I've been doing actual content, like talking to the camera right here. So we might be able to look at that and 10 years of making FPV content to try to improve and share this amazing journey. So that's wild to me that this is now the longest career. It's overtaken how long I was a school teacher for, that I've been making FPV content, putting videos out there online to help people get flying and having some fun. And let me know too what you guys are up to, because we're just about to jump into it, but let me know, what are you doing? Where are you in the world? Hit those keys on the keyboard in the chat and just let me know what you're flying. If you've got a question, or what's maybe one of your most memorable moments that you have, and how long you've been in this FPV hobby and on your FPV journey. Shadow Ops is saying, I am making supper, so lurking, but I'm listening in, Stu. Well, good luck. Don't burn anything, and let me know what you're cooking. Hopefully you're cooking up a storm there, something tasty. And Everyday with Bruno says, I'm building a Transtech Lightning kit. I think that's from 2018. Yeah, the Transtech Lightning was a pretty, let me actually show you this. So thanks for Transtech Lightning. Do they even still make them? Oh my gosh. Do we dare watch this video from 2017 with a pretty baller thumbnail, if I don't say so myself. Let's see. Oh, what's going on? That's not what I wanted to do. Here we go. Click the wrong link. Now we're going to get some ads. I'm getting some eBay ads, so we're not going to spam them. Let's unmute this. Okay, check this out. Wow, look. Do I even do that?
Hey, Stu here from UAVFutures, and today, well, we're going to be checking out this. I'm a bad boy, little bad boy.
It is a pretty cool frame, I must say. Did we put it on the bench? Come on. Look at this terrible reviewer 7 years ago. So this sort of shows our frame innovation, that we got to this stage pretty quickly. So after about 2 years, people realized we want to have like a pretty small, lightweight frame, trying to keep as much strength as we can with everything centered in the middle. I would guess that this is still pretty competitive. We have it on its side. This is still pretty competitive to a lot of stuff that we have today, and probably even better, because you could make your build. We have things like all-in-ones, and like putting in, you probably cram an 04 Pro in here or an 04 Lite. You've actually got enough room now, so components have gotten a lot smaller as well. So yeah, I think you're gonna have a lot of fun with that build. Let me know how you're going with it. If you've got some pictures of it half built up, please throw it in the chat. That will be, or throw it on my Discord actually, or send me a message, or post it on DIY. Just let me know where you posted it so we can check out how your build progress is actually going along. All right, let's jump in to the first point of my FPV live streams. We always kick it off like this, and I would like to say that yes, we're going to talk about drones. Drones are important. I really like them. It's probably why we all like them. That's why we're here. But what is more important than that is you. And it is your mental health and your mental well-being. And this is going to go out to those people. And I just want to say, if you are suffering, if you are not feeling quite right, or not feeling like yourself, you might be feeling depressed, you might be feeling anxious, I would like to let you know that you are not alone, that you really are valued, you are cared about, and I'm grateful that you are here. I'm grateful that you're part of this hobby. I'm grateful that you're watching this stream. But most of all, I'm just grateful that you are still here, and that I can say this message to you to let you know that you are cared about. And please, the thing that made the biggest difference for me, and you might be like, yes, Stuart, I do feel like that, but what would you know, this random Aussie guy talking to the camera on the other side of the planet, that I've been there. I know what it was like about 5 years ago, of just how bad things can be, and I'm in a much better place now, but I haven't forgotten what it was like, and I want people out there to not feel alone. And something that made a huge difference to me was going and speaking to the doctor, or just to a professional. And don't feel like it's weak to speak or anything like that, because often we can feel like we have to just suck it up or be a man, or whatever that terrible advice has been in the past and in older generations. And I don't want you to feel like you have to do that, because that was the biggest difference for me, was going and getting, like, talking to the doctor and starting that whole process. So please don't feel weak to speak. Don't feel alone. I'm here on the internet telling thousands of people that I've gone through that process. And the reason that I tell thousands of people, because it might affect and help even just one person watching this today, that might go, okay, you're right. I'm going to do something, because you deserve to be happy. You deserve to be the best that you can be. And it's like if you broke your leg, you'd probably go to the doctor, right? The same thing. If your head is not working correctly, please go and speak to some professionals. Alrighty. I just want to put that out there. We start out, that's like the first point that we usually touch on every single stream. We're going to jump in, talk all things FPV right now. Shadow Ops is saying stew Swedish. That's what he's cooking. Oh, Swedish meatballs on huge egg noodles with veggies on the side. That sounds amazing. That sounds really tasty, actually. I don't know what a Swedish meatball is, but like egg noodles and veggies, it's all sounding pretty good. Dog FPV, I just completed my first DIY drone. You're one of the YouTubers that contributed to my build. My absolute pleasure, brother. Post it on DIY FPV. I want to see a picture of your build, please, if that is possible. And then Spruny saying, waiting on my Happy Model baseline frame. I can't get my Cockroach 82 tuned. And every day with Bruno, before we jump in and talk about some beginner advice, is I got a bunch of stuff from getting out of the hobby sale. It was new in the box. Well, hopefully you got some cool things. Let me know. Post it on DIY FPV so we can check it out. All right. The first thing that I want to show you is this right here. So this is a message to beginners. Do not mess with it. You're going to muck it up. And if it is not broken, do not fix it. If we look over here, we have this post. So this is over on Reddit. Didn't know I needed a PhD to fly a drone. So this gentleman has a picture. If you're listening just on audio, there's a picture associated with this post, and it is a set of DJI N3 goggles. It looks like a Boxer radio, just the standard version, and a Mob 8. Now we're going to, I think it's a Mob 8 anyway. And we're going to assume that he's picked the correct gear because the Mob 8 will have to have a DJI inside. But listen to this as a little bit of a post. It's like one paragraph. Finally got all I needed to get flying. Got everything binded. We're not going to get into the past on pretense. Got everything bound and working. When I started flying, I noticed I would lower the throttle and the motors would just cut out completely, making it a terrible flying experience. Well, first of all, who knew that when you're not, that's just called falling. So that's why the motors have, when you put the throttle down and it's not going to work, right? It's like if you went swimming and you stopped moving your arms and then you said, man, this swimming experience is terrible. Yeah, that's because now you're not swimming, you're just floating. So very similar there for a drone. It's just, if you stop using the throttle, it's just going to drop out of the sky. So I decided to hook it up to Betaflight. I didn't know what anything really meant, but I changed some filter settings and rates and tried to fly again. The throttle was just stuck to 100%. So I went back to Betaflight and tried resetting everything. And now the drone doesn't bind to my controller anymore. I think that's the issue. I've been messing around with it for about 2 hours now. I tried ChatGPT, but not getting anywhere. So my question is, after spending $1,000 for everything online, what course do I need to buy to learn how to do all this? Well, first and foremost, you do not need to buy anything. All the information is online. You just need to do a little bit of research skills, a little bit of investigations. And myself, Bardwell, Mads Techs, like there is too many to list. There is so many. We have been in this. We were just talking about a decade of drone content, of helping people, breaking these things down, showing you step by step how to get there. You do not need to buy anything. And number two, do not ask ChatGPT, because yes, ChatGPT is a good tool at sort of summarizing this, but what we are looking at is some nitty-gritty specifications. It's not going to know where your UARTs are bound to on your flight controller. You can set a whole range of different things up, and it's not going to know what you did in your specific circumstance. It is kind of like you can buy a house off a plan, and the builder's like, great, but then you get 5 different families that have moved in over there over 40 years, and each one's done renovations and done some rewirings and done some plumbing things that might be a little bit different to suit them. And then you go back to the original plans when the house was first sold, and you're like, hey, can you tell me how our house is wired? It's going to have no idea. Those original plans are going to have no idea what is in the current house that you have right now in today. So that is probably my analogy for this. Now, we can get you back on the right track, but the thing I want to really stress is, if you are a beginner, do not mess with it. If it is working, do not upgrade. Do not flash any change of firmware. Do not do anything if you do not fully know how to fix that situation. Because what we're doing right here It was saying it would cut out. It was a terrible flying experience. So I didn't really know what anything meant, but I changed some filter settings and rates. So do not do that. Okay. I think that is terrible. It's probably one of the worst things that you could actually start messing around with. I was flying again, but the throttle was stuck to 100. So I don't know what you have changed here. And I don't know, this is because you have changed so much, it's making really, really tricky. When you look at like the AETR, I don't know, maybe if you change something in the receiver for the throttle to be at 100, you should be able to check all this stuff on Betaflight anyway before you go flying. So you should be able to plug it in and there will be a receiver tab, and your throttle, it should be like at 900 up to 2000 when you're watching it go back and forth on the Betaflight receiver tab. And now you've gone back, you've tried to reset everything, and now the drone doesn't bind to the controller anymore. So if you have reset everything, and by that I mean you can either click reset on the drone. I don't know when you say reset, if you have either completely reset it or you have reflashed a previous version of a previous dump of this drone, because they are two different things. Have you put on the settings that this drone came with before it was shipped to you? Or have you just put on the factory stock settings for the flight controller? Because this drone is made up of several different things. And it's going to bind again. The Mob 8 can actually, in this person's defense, be a little bit tricky to get bind because there's some different versions, and whether that's a built-in SPI receiver, whether that's an external UART but is actually internally built into the flight controller of the Mob 8. I can post something after this. I'm sure there's a previous stream, and I'm sure if we see John here in the chat, that's how he actually became a member on here. But getting him flying was through the Mob 8. You should be able to, from memory, do one of these two things. Either change your bind phrase in Betaflight so it matches what's on your radio, and then, because this is going to be ELRS, and this newcomer, I have to realize that I need to talk really slowly here. So inside this drone, oh, that's too much zoomed in. There might be an option in Betaflight that says enter bind phrase. For example, my bind phrase on my radio is UAVFutures. And so I'm going to type that in the little bind phrase, and then I'm going to connect up. You're going to have to do a little bit of research. So have a look on the ELRS wiki, and it will show you how to do this. And then you can also set your radio into Wi-Fi mode, and you can enter the bind phrase on your radio as well. The way I do it is by looking at my phone, and I put the drone, I put the radio into Wi-Fi mode, and then I can connect to that and connect to the Wi-Fi on my phone and go in, and I can set my bind phrase. Now, if you can't set your bind phrase through the Betaflight for, I think this is a Mob 8, what you can also do, is it a Mob 8? The top looks a little bit different, so I'm not too sure, but I don't know if that's an 04 version or something. It would have to be, I guess. Now, if you can't set the bind phrase for this in here, you can also set the drone. If you just plug it in for like 30 seconds or maybe up to a minute, it might put the receiver that is built in, even though it's a built-in external UART. Let's not get too confused. And then you can do the same thing. Now the drone will be in Wi-Fi mode. You can connect it up with your phone, and then you put in that same bind phrase. If that is your first problem, that's what you need to go and do. You need to get them talking again before we can even go back and having a look at whatever else you have done with the drone. So you need to get them bound again. So my question is, after spending $1,000 on everything, what online course do I need to learn to do all this? It is just consuming knowledge. All the research is there. Stop asking ChatGPT. You're going to need to learn ELRS. You're going to need to learn what all those settings do. Like, do not change a lot of those Betaflight settings. Do not mess with anything. And I think someone said, if you don't understand what it does, do not touch it. Now, we've got some other Spruonies saying this post could have been rage bait as well. Maybe, but it also might help some people. And Shadow Ops is saying Painless 360 is a great source too. Yeah, Painless has been doing this for longer than I have, I believe. He was making content well before drones were a thing as well. Bruce from RC Model Reviews, like there is a whole bunch of YouTube content creators and guides and everything that can help. And this is probably a great example of eventually, once this goes live on DIY FPV, where people will be able to post, will be able to put things on the builder, have complete guides and wirings and show exactly what is happening, because this is the website that I've been building for the past 2 years or so that's going to help people be able to answer these exact questions. So you can say, hey, this is where I've wired this up, and you can link it, and there's guides there, and we can all work as a community together to get people flying. So there you go. You do not need a PhD to fly a drone. You just need to not mess around with things. It's like if my car made some funny noises, I wouldn't just start taking some random nuts and bolts out of the engine and then be like, it just doesn't even work anymore. I don't know. I just took that spinny thing out, and I just poked a few things and twisted this on and took this off, and now my car's not working. What? I didn't know I needed to be a mechanic to fix a car. Yeah, no, you do. And that you don't need a PhD to fly a drone, but you need the knowledge to be able to fix or change a drone. I don't need a PhD to drive a car, but I definitely need some education to fix some things on a car. So that would probably be some good advice there. But look at this top post. I would recommend Joshua Bardwell. Yes, probably without a doubt has helped the most people in this hobby with a lot of these questions. And I myself, often if I get stuck, when I Google it, Bardwell's result is right up the top. All right. Hopefully that helped. Maybe I was getting, and I want to also encourage that person. And I'm calling whoever that poster is out. It's like, hey, you did a dumb thing, but I'm really grateful that they asked. And it might seem really simple to us, people who know drones, but I'm grateful that you posted here, and welcome to the hobby. The reason we're saying all these things is because we want you to have a good flight experience, and we want you to enjoy this amazing thing. So I think you'll find that the hobby is generally pretty friendly, and really, really helpful to a lot of people. Don't save when binding in Betaflight. Just bind with Express ELRS button, and the bind button on Betaflight works over time with the Mob 7 or 8. That's from Whoopsie FPV. Beginners need the DIY FPV community. Yeah, thank you. It's coming along nicely. Sometimes it takes a PhD to know that you really don't know. That's such a good saying, because I know enough about drones to know that I know so little about actual drones. So when it comes to like the whole coding side and like Betaflight devs, and to be honest, like filters and PID tuning and a whole bunch of those numbers, graphs, like a whole bunch of the way that a drone actually works and actually flies, it might as well just be magic to me. What do I know? Throttle go up, drone go broom broom. Like that's basically, I feel like I'm the middleman to try to learn about this information through trial and error, and then explain it as easily as I can to beginners for what they need to know. And this beginner did not need to know PIDs, did not need to know filters, did not need to know changing your rates or anything like that, because until you understand drones and you are flying around, you don't need to know any of that sort of stuff. And there's going to be some use case situations, and I'm talking generally. And that saying of like, oh, the drone, it was a terrible flying experience when I cut the motors completely. Yeah. But what you need to know is that's normal. It's like if you turn the motors off, you turn the props off, your drone is going to fall out of the sky. If I'm swimming and I stop moving my arms, my swimming experience is probably going to be pretty terrible too. So that's probably the best way. When is your site going live? What do you mean? My site is live. Check it out. Right here. We have a look at the dashboard. We have a look. This is all people in the community. We've got our catalog. You can go and look this. DIY FPV. You can go check this out. We have a look at the map. Probably one of the parts that I get the most excited about. Look at all these pilots all over the world, right? Every day we're getting new pilots joining. So you can send all these people a message if your profile's on there and say, yo, let's go flying. We've got troubleshooting, which I think troubleshooting does need some work. We need to look into that. I'm not too sure if that's going to be here in the future, because we also have beginner questions. But yes. All right. So, here's this gentleman here. So Paul, if you actually watch this, he is the person that I got talking to about the Mob 8. And if it has the external UART or an inbuilt SPI, there's a couple of different versions. Pre-arm is something newbies should know. I actually don't use pre-arm. I don't like pre-arm, but that's just me. It's definitely nothing against it. All right, we're going to move on. I'm going to catch up with just what a couple of people saying. Someone's saying, where is Mystery J at? Probably living under the stairs. Spruny saying, I wish I could spend that much money so recklessly on $1,000 setup. And Chris Crawford saying, we have a guy coming to FPV Rebels indoors on Friday night that's having issues setting up his quad. Okay, well, hopefully you should be. That's great. Too. If you can go and join people in the local community, they'll be able to help you as well. There is no course for FPV, and it's just a lot of learning. A little bit of knowledge is also a dangerous thing. Yes. Someone's saying I never use pre-arm as well. Okay. So we should probably move on. I'm just looking at the time. I didn't realize I spent half an hour talking about that. Sorry if you're watching this or listening to this on a long drive and you're like, Stuart, get to the good parts. What's happening? Where are we going to be talking? So I want to talk about this piece next. So let me just move this up. The VTOL is back. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you have been watching this channel and a little bit of the history and the story that's been happening, recently we flew a drone, quad, VTOL, wing, whatever. A VTOL is probably the accurate description. A huge thing that had the Edge T3 system in it. Now it used ArduPilot and Mission Planner, which I must say, this is a great example. I didn't know enough about it. I'm trying to get it working, and it was a nightmare. If you think Betaflight is complex, trying to use Mission Planner and ArduPilot was like 10 out of 10 complex. I would put Betaflight at like a 3. It was a terrible user experience, and it might be great and allow you to do a lot of things if you know what you're doing, but it was probably the difference between, if Betaflight, a good analogy would be like turning on your PlayStation and playing some video games, and ArduPilot was like building your own computer to play some games, but you've also got to, it's all going to be running in Linux, so you've got to know what you're doing. So there was like a lot more. It just triggered a whole bunch of the Linux users. So there was a lot more happening there, and it was very, very complex. However, I followed the instructions, and I was just copying directly what the instructions said. Now, those instructions were translated from Chinese. There was no official manual on the VTOL. We got it working. It worked the first time, sort of. It came back and it landed. And then the next time, well, I'm going to play the video. You can see what happened, because it had the Edge T3 system inside. And look at this. So oh no, did my computer just freeze? Phew, I thought it did. Check this out. So this is the VTOL. This is a 33-minute recording. Oh, gee, that sounds like a long flight time. Yeah, well, it wasn't flying that whole time. We're not going to watch it all. Got a few minutes, I guess, of waiting for it to take off. A lot of minutes. Unless my computer's just like frozen here and doesn't want to play this file. That could also not be great. Does it look like anything's moving to you guys on the screen, or is that just me? Interesting. Okay, let's try this again, right? Open this up. Okay, I'm not gonna mess with it. Ooh. I think it's like lagging out or something. This is another problem I had with the Edge T3. It wasn't great at the files. I did not like that they were saved. Anyway, I should say, so if this ever does work, we're just going to leave it. The Edge T3 system has been plagued with a few problems, but this is probably the part I am the most excited about. Even if if you're watching this and not listening to this as like an audio podcast or anything, it went out and it flew okay. And I was really impressed with the video quality that we got back from the Edge T3 system that was in the VTOL. And I wanted to show you guys, the viewers, about that. But unfortunately, when I came home to land this, it went straight into a tree. Like it was meant to come home and land, and there was some trees that were right up the back of my property, and the VTOL just went, no, I don't want to land safely. Let's just go full throttle into those trees right up the top. And it got stuck there. I tried to send some drones up to get it back. The drone got stuck in the tree, and then I had two choices, and I thought I can either send another drone up there, or do I just cut my losses? One drone, one VTOL in the tree. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, about a month goes by, super windy, it falls down, but it gets stuck again. So this time it's only stuck halfway up the tree. I went out the other day and it was on the ground. It looks like it's not going to play, so I don't know what's going on here. I'll just stop this because it's not, I won't be able to show you. I'll figure that out later. But up in the tree, it was not there anymore. And then, so I contacted the neighbor. Look what we have right here. So this is what is left. Sorry, I still got some leaves and things that I need to probably clean that out. I got some gum leaves and that sort of stuff. So this is the VTOL at the moment. I could probably take this little front piece off. The only thing that is broken, I know it looks really bad. I've plugged it in. It survived thunderstorms, a whole bunch of rain, like some torrential raining right here. But I think I could get this working again pretty easy. A little bit of glue is going to fix this frame up, no body, no problem, the fuselage. The Edge T3 system, which is right here, it amazingly, I believe it has survived because it does power up. I get the LEDs on there. I have not checked it purely because I was lazy and I haven't plugged in the Edge T3 receiver unit, and then gone upstairs and got the correct adapters, because the adapter is actually a HDMI one I use for my computer. It's not great. It's annoying, but this lights up so far. I did check out the SD card footage, which unfortunately wouldn't play right now, but I have seen it playing. So I've got the DVR from that back. So that was fine. I've plugged it in right here. The RG Pilot flight controller or whatever. What is this? It's Zeno or something. That lights up. So I don't get any errors. I did unplug the motors. Some of the motors I think are cooked. The servos on one of them is a little bit broken on the wings on the arms, but I'm not too fussed about that. This back motor, it's totally fine. There's the servos in the back. They work totally fine. So generally, I think I got off pretty lucky. Now it shows you some of the speed. So I don't know if this is going to come through right here, but you'll see a little bit of a mark up right here. And that is because there was an entire basically tree branch wedged in here, and it must have got really unlucky when it hit. It slid along, and then that's probably a design point of failure actually. So it needs to have some sort of little lip so that doesn't happen. Anyway, as it hit the tree branch, it's coming here and it slid all the way back. There are still pieces of bark in here. It was probably a branch like as thick as my finger that this has wedged itself into. And that's why it didn't come down. So we basically had to wait for the tree to snap. However, now it means I can finish the video on this. I am so grateful that I have this. I was disappointed, not for the VTOL, but for the Edge T3 system. I think it's an important piece of not only our history, but like technology when it comes to competing FPV protocols out there. So the VTOL is back. I'm sorry I couldn't show you that footage today. Let's see if it can open up one more time. See if we can get it flying. Unless my computer is probably doing too much with, oh, it just started working. What's going on here? Let's see if we can get this happening again. It's showing me, this is it from this is my house over here. This is how high this is up. This is like a 1-story shed, or like one of the next door neighbor's sheds right there. So it was up crazy high. Unfortunately, it looks like it's just going to not work. Let's try this again. Let's see if I do that quickly. And we go here. Did I? No, well, almost. Ready? Let's go. It doesn't want to play it for some reason. Oh, okay. You saw it sort of working for a second, but this is a great example. This looks gorgeous. So this is what I really wanted to show you. This is what I was seeing. Actually, it wasn't quite this good when I was seeing it. This is the onboard recording. But this looks pretty good for something that's not DJI. It's not Cadex or Walk Snail, whatever you want to call it. It's very exciting. So I was quite happy with this feed, and I was probably most disappointed that I couldn't show you what it looks like. So anyway, what do you guys think? Does this look acceptable for a third-party non-leading manufacturer to have this sort of tech? So anyway, someone's saying, what app am I trying to play it in? VLC player. And most of the time it works. It is just that, well, this file, it's 33 minutes long. And also, I don't like my my editing software doesn't like this as well. So I don't know if it's .ts, whatever that video format is, it doesn't like to play. And one of the big trees is, it's basically like here. This tree, the top of this, up about here is where this was. So the tree was huge that it got stuck in. Someone's saying good color. Yeah, no, I know this should work. It's the video file. The file itself that's not great. I don't like how it's recording. All right, we're going to continue. So that's the story of the VTOL. I will do a full, like, it's just a fun video. But that was like a little pre-review. We have it back. Expect a finalization to that video. And someone's saying 10 years. Yeah, that's from Cool Cat. Yes. You will need to change the video format. Yeah, I'll probably just resave it as something else. I'll convert it using something. Let's see. Next thing I want to talk about is, are ready-to-fly kits worth it? So chances are, and also too, if you have some questions, please throw them in the chat. If you're stuck, if you've got any advice or anything like that, throw it in the chat. You might have a new product. Before I talk about ready-to-fly kits, you might have something that you want me to check out. Please put that in the chat, because this stream, as much it is for me, it's also for you guys, just to be part of the community, to connect. And I know that I talk a lot here to you guys, but I love to answer your questions as well. So let me know what's happening. Someone's saying you need to convert the TS to MP4 like HD0. Yeah, yes. I don't know why. It would be nice if they did save. There's probably some specific reason why they save like that. I don't know what the advantages are. Maybe it's so they don't get corrupted. Like if you don't get the end point or the start point, or I don't know what you call that, like putting the caps on the file. Because I know when I'm recording on my OBS, you've got a couple of different options. And one of them is sort of like, if you don't shut it down correctly, it will just not be, you can't use it. So I don't have it set to that, but yeah. All right. Are ready-to-fly kits worth it? So you want to jump into FPV, you're looking online and you can see, oh, this is kind of a complex topic. However, you see a ready-to-fly kit and you think, that is what I want to buy. And you're now asking yourself, okay, I'm about to spend some serious cash. Is it worth it getting a ready-to-fly kit? So we're talking about like radios, chargers, everything that you need to get up and get flying. There's a couple of different versions. We're going to go through some of them. I'm also going to make the distinguished point between a bind and fly and a ready to fly, because you can go the really DIY route, which is, I am going to build my complete own drone. Let's jump over here to DIY FPV, and you can either build your drone, making your own electronics, solder it up, all that sort of stuff. The next level up from that is, okay, I've already got my radio and I've already got my chargers. I just want to get a drone that's going to work with all that. So that is what is called a bind and fly. So a bind and fly kit would be something like probably a lot of these drones. Here, this is probably a great example. So here, this is a pre-built drone. You can just, my face is in the way. I'm going to just buy this drone and it's going to work with everything that I have if you choose the correct one. So that's why it's called bind and fly. A lot of times people also call them plug and play. That's what P&P means, where you can put your own receiver in there with a little bit of work and it will work with all your gear. Or you can do a bind and fly, which means it already comes with the receiver done. You just need to bind it up. That means make your drone talk to the radio and then you can go off and get flying. Or you can go the complete other route, and we can have a look at some ready-to-fly kits. Now, this is sort of what the focus of we have right here. This is the Draknite, and if we look at the ready-to-fly, let's go have a look at Race Day Quads. And that's why I like this website too. So if you don't know, it's going to show you exactly what the product is and how much it costs and blah, blah, blah. All that sort of really cool stuff. However, okay, so what do we get? Ready-to-fly Draknite 2-inch beginner ready-to-fly kit. That's what the RTF actually means. And look, if we look here, we get goggles, we get a radio, we get the drone, and then there's probably a couple little extras. You're going to get the battery. Not too much to say. Now, are these kits worth it? And it varies wildly, and it really depends what you want to get out of it. Because if we look here, this is $360 US. Now, you might think, oh, that sounds expensive, or that sounds cheap. And you really get what you pay for in this hobby. There is a sweet spot, a value entry spot that I think you're going to get the most out of it. And it depends. Are you the sort of person that just wants a fun little toy to try FPV, but you're not going to take it seriously? Are you the sort of person that wants to have a great time, doesn't have a lot of money, but they want to get the best kit that they can? You're probably going to need to spend a little bit more. Do you want to get like the minimum? This is probably one of my favorite places in terms of price points. What is the minimum that you can spend where you are happy that you do not have to upgrade for a long time? I think that is the perfect spot that I would recommend to all my friends and people wanting to try FPV that think, oh, this really could be a hobby that I want to get into. So what is the minimum amount of cash that I need to drop? So I'm not going to be going out and buying a new radio or a new transmitter or a new drone or any of that sort of stuff in a month's time. It's going to be actually worth it. You're going to get your value's money worth. And then you have some more that are like, hey, I'm going to spend a little bit more. I want to get some nice quality of life features or some extra little perks when I'm flying around with it. So let's have a look. We've got some ready to fly kits. So do I think, say for this one, the Draknite that we were just looking at, is the Draknite kit worth it? Now, the problem with a lot of these ready to flies is you are going to be having some serious compromises. On 9 times out of 10, the drone is the best part and the radio and the goggles are the weakest part. And the flip side of that is, for anybody can say this in the chat as well, the drone should be the least part that you are concerned with. I would much prefer, and this might sound crazy to a newcomer, but this is who this is for. I would prefer to buy and fly a bad drone with good goggles and a good radio over flying the best drone out there with bad goggles and a bad radio. Now, if I was coming into the hobby today, if we look at this radio, I don't like it. So it's not terrible, but it's not great. And a really great recommendation I did last year, it was, let me see if I can show you this. This is the problem with me doing, when I'm trying to find my own video, there's so many videos. It was the Radio Master Pocket, and let's have a look. It was a Mobula 8, and it was also, and some things are going to change, which is why I want to make sure I show the exact video that I'm talking about. Easy setup. Okay, it's got to be close to here. I'm scrolling down. Here it is. Hands down, this is what I did. The best kit of 2024. So this is a year old. Ugh, I'm getting some anti-shock mount action camera, blah, blah, blah. Skip ad. Okay, let's have a look. So right here, look at this handsome gentleman. So on the bench, you can see we have a Radio Master Pocket. I've got a Mob 8 and a Walk Snail. Now, the beauty about this kit, and I think it was about $500 US. So if we look back here compared to the Draknite, which is $350, yes, it is more money, but at the time, and I would do this kit differently today, but at the time, right here, we have a radio. I would happily fly the Radio Master Pocket for the rest of my FPV career. Does that mean that it is the best radio out there? No. Does it do everything that I want it to do? Yes. Like this radio, it's only like $60, $70. Amazing. I would still recommend it today as my radio of choice for anybody getting into the hobby. There is nicer ones out there, but I'm sure if anybody has a Pocket in the chat, please let me know. It is amazing. Your best point, I guess, is what I'm trying to say here. When it comes to a ready to fly kit, you are better suited to choose those components, do a little bit of work, and you can still have an amazing time. So probably the best thing about this, when we got this, you don't need to do any soldering. It's not too much of a further learning process to just do a few little, like to bind something, a few little clicks on the computer, maybe an hour or two of learning, and then you're going to be able to have an amazing time that you're going to use for a long run into the future. Now, at the time I did this video, you can see over here, we have the Walk Snail Goggles L, I really like this pair of Walk Snail goggles. And can someone remind me in 10 minutes, say, please talk about the Sips Tea, Spills Tea podcast and Goggles L, please, because I think that's really important. I want to bring that up. I'll see if I can find something special for that person. Anyway, this Goggles L, great. I loved it. It's going to work then with the drone too, which is the Mob 8. And the beauty about this whole setup, The Mob 8 is probably the weakest part in this entire kit. Now, charges and stuff are a little bit different. You might need to get a little bit, it depends how much. I do have a little charging guide. But for about $500, you've got the three main pieces. So you've got your drone, your radio, and your goggles. You're going to be able to go out, fly, and have fun. Now, is that worth it over something like this? Well, let's see if we can find another ready to fly right here. We've got an Emax Whoop kit. So this one right here, this is an analog. So that was probably one of the differences as well. With the kit that I chose, you get to fly around with digital. Whereas this one, we have an analog camera. So that looks like it's starting from $280 for a little Emax kit. That's going to be fun inside, but I'm going to want to upgrade the radio. I'm going to want to upgrade the goggles, and the drone is eventually going to break. I wonder if I just search ready to fly, what will happen? Oh, this was, I should have just done this from the start. So if we look at the prices here, now we've got this one, the Alien 5 ready to fly kit. Now this is out of stock, so but that's $700. The kit that I recommended, significantly better. Right here, we've got one that is $1,395. So you're getting DJI Goggles 3. Where is this from? This is actually not a terrible idea. Okay, in New Zealand, you're going to get, is it Goggles 3? Oh, okay. Yeah, DJI Goggles 3, a Radiomaster TX16, and a drone. That's like the top end of the top end, and you're going to be paying some money for someone to put that together. But that's not bad. Sorry, that's actually pretty decent when you think of some of the prices today. We've got a Speedy Bee drone one here. This is with some sky zones. Like, this isn't recommended because it's $700. I think the point that I'm trying to make, and hopefully this website is showing you that it's not worth it, is you are never going to get as good of a deal and as good of a setup that suits you buying a ready to fly. You are paying for convenience. You are paying for usually subpar products on the cheaper end. If you just want something that is really easy to go out and fly, but you're probably going to want to upgrade, but it's cheap, you can do that. Or like if we have a look at this one, you're going to be paying a lot of money and over $1,000 for something that is pretty awesome, but you're paying a lot of extra cash for it for that convenience. So my advice is, are ready to fly kits worth it? No. If it was me telling my friend, like someone who's never flown FPV, and this is actually probably a scenario that I'm going through, shout out to Paul A, to say, hey, you save your cash, just do a little bit of work. You can get a great setup that is going to last you for a long time in the hobby. And then you don't need to do all the work of building your own, but like just getting a buy and fly and choosing your own radio and choosing your own goggles that suits it is 100% in my opinion, what I recommend. And like, if you have some other ideas too, if you had a friend coming into the hobby that doesn't know anything, what would you recommend? Because they're your three choices. Do you spend a ton of cash and get everything done for you and you're going to have a great time, but it's expensive? Do you spend no cash at all? Well, as minimum cash as you can, and you get a buy and fly, but you're probably not going to get the parts that you want. You're going to upgrade it. And if you love FPV, you're going to outgrow it and you're going to have to buy something else again. Or would you recommend to spend a little bit of time? You don't have to build your own completely from scratch, but choose your components that you want that are going to work together. And with a little bit of work, you can get those talking and flying. You don't have to build your own drone. Someone can build you that for you. But I think you should at least get a buy and fly. Let me know if I'm just talking rubbish here, but look, this is a decade in the hobby. This is what I'm saying. Someone's saying, yeah, but who needs a 7-inch beginner kit? That's exactly right. Thanks very much, the Crazy Rooster. Whoopsie FPV is saying, I want the gimbals for my pocket also. Yeah, this is how I know I love my pocket so much that I have broken it, actually. I need to turn it on by like basically creating a short circuit on the front power switch, but I still use it all the time. And Stickman Steve laughs at me all the time. My Mob 8 is a beast. I have the pink boxer with blue LEDs and I love it. The only power downside of the pocket is the lack of buttons, but I prefer it, but it's perfect, honestly. I actually don't mind it. I need an arm switch, a buzzer switch, maybe a turtle switch. I need like 2 or 3 aux switches and I'm completely done. And Spoonie's saying, I would say ready to fly kits are for people who don't know anyone in the hobby. Well, this is the thing, Spoonie. That's why I build websites like DIY FPV. That's why I make these videos. you don't have to know people in person, but if you know of the community and how helpful we are, we want you to have the best time possible. Like every single person in the chat, I have never personally met. I don't think I've seen anyone in here that I've met Chris, except for Chris. So 99% of the people in this chat I've never met, but we're still here. We're still part of this community. We're still this family, like talking all things drones and just helping and sharing. And we want all of us to have an amazing time flying around in the sky. Anthony's saying, when I first started building, it was build your own or buy a wizard machine. I did both and it was hard, but I learned so much with Stu's help. My pleasure, brother. And thanks for being here week in, week out. That goes for everybody. If you are here week in and week out, I truly do appreciate it. Now, I'm just looking at the time. I could probably talk about like I've been in this hobby for 10 years, but I might save that for another one. We spoke about it a little bit at the start. I'm going to answer some questions here, but I also want to talk about the Spills Tea podcast that I went in. America FPV and saying, been out of the hobby for 4 years, but been flying my old gear again. Need to upgrade everything, but I'm excited to try HD long range, and that 7-inch long range, 7-inch RTF looked nice. So America, I would say, this is a saying, I need someone to make me a t-shirt or something. This is like, maybe one day I'll get a fan that's like, hey Stu, I've made you this cool t-shirt. I'll wear it like almost every single video, but it is basically my face saying it's not about having the best gear, it's about having the best time. And if you let me know, America, what your old gear is, like 4 years ago, stuff hasn't changed that much. You don't need to buy the latest and greatest to have an amazing time. Even if you've got analog, there is nothing wrong with analog. If people took away all my digital quads today, I would be a little bit sad, but I would still have an absolutely incredible time flying around on analog. And just because digital exists, it doesn't make analog even worse. And I have an example actually for that, so maybe some people can relate to. Unfortunately, one of my friends who I've been sort of trying to show a bit of FPV to, he was also like, hey Stu, can you have a look at my laptop? I had a look at his laptop because he doesn't know anything about it, and he's been enjoying some video games that he hasn't played for the last 10 years. He's sort of got a bit of free time. It's like, oh yeah, I'll have this. He's had his laptop for 2 years, and he's like, can you help me do this installer, or how does this work? And he's been playing some games and saying, this is amazing. He hasn't known that his laptop has had an internal fault through no fault of his own, that it's using integrated graphics. So it's meant to have a 3070 in there. It doesn't. It's like cooked itself. And he's a little bit upset now, but I'm trying to say to him, yeah, that is annoying. And his warranty was out of date by like 10 days that we missed it by. But it hasn't made your playing experience any worse. If you ever been enjoying this the way it was, just because those new options should be there or are there, it doesn't make what you are doing worse. Yes, in his case, it's annoying because he has paid for that. But you can have some analog quads and have some incredible times. And there is nothing wrong with your old gear. And I think that this is really important, that you don't need to go out and buy anything. You might need to get some new batteries. They might be cooked. But if you have some drones that work and you have some goggles and you have a little setup with a little bit of work you can get flying, I think in saying this, I think we need to do something here for the community, because just reaching out and, you know, there's amazing times, like some of the best flying times you might have had with reaching and flying with some old mates and flying some old drones. And if you've fallen out of love with drones, and what was it? What is it that you miss about it? And if you could just go back right now and things were working and those friends were there and you're at that cool flying spot, would you go back? And the question you ask yourself, would you have an awesome time? I bet you, yeah, you would. I would. Some of my favorite flying times are flying around analog and like missing some of my old friends who I don't live near anymore, like Crash Test Cal and Grumpy Trav and Wingman Jono. We had there was Tony in there as well. Like there was so many. Granger. Like if I could go back and just have some of those flying sessions, we're all flying analog, but they were incredible. You know, shout out to Lockie. Like I would go back in a heartbeat. I miss those times, and I still get to have those times today with the friends that I fly around with here. But we are flying digital and circumstances are different, but there was nothing wrong with those old times. I will look back on them fondly for the rest of my life as some amazing just experiences. And I think that you've put me on a rant here, but I truly am saying to you, America, can you go and fly this week? Please. Don't fly anything new. Don't have to get anything digital. A challenge, and this is going out to anybody. Can you fly your gear and have a great time? Please. Please, for me and for you. Like, and then let me know about it. Post on DOA FPV about it. Now, I did say I was going to check out DOA FPV because I think who put a post on there? I got to refresh this. Is there a post? Someone's going to post a Transtech Lightning build. Maybe I missed it, or maybe it was sent in a message. I can't see it on there. Happy Flyer RC. Thank you very much. It said 10-minute reminder to talk about tea. So I recently went on a podcast, and I'm going to link it down below with some incredible people from the community. So Ivan, I don't know his I don't know his actual channel name from the top of my head. I'm going to link it after this. But there was Mr. Nice, there was Johnny 5, and Ivan. And they do some great stuff. They're really like into racing. Johnny 5 does some amazing reviews. And Mr. Nice is just generally his name is completely accurate. A really nice, humble, kind individual. And I recently went on their podcast and they asked some great questions and they really broke things down. And this was where there was a bit of Tiny Whoop versus Tiny Who drama that was in the one in the week before. And then I went on their podcast this week, or I guess the most recent one. And it went for about 3 hours. I chatted to these guys all about FPV. And something that really meant a lot to me was in the past, Johnny 5, who's another reviewer, definitely go check his stuff out. Him and myself have actually clashed on opinions on what's good, what's bad. And I guess what it really showed to me, and I felt so happy coming away from that, is sometimes we can get really caught up in these small differences, like, oh, you like walk snail, or you like DJI, or I'm an analog only fan, or I like Whoops, whatever it's going to be. And those small differences can create big divides. But after talking to these people for 3 hours, it was so nice to realize, like, hey, we are all in this hobby together. And yeah, we've all got our differences, but we are so similar. It's not our differences. We are so similar. If you took a Venn diagram and we crammed in our interests, we're all of us watching this. We are so in there and have so many things that are the same, that we would probably, if it wasn't for the internet, sometimes distorting things through a different lens, be amazing friends. So that's when I noticed, like, Johnny 5, he's got some, and you can probably see it in the background, like, I've got some old Transformers from my childhood. And I said to Johnny, like, we are so similar. Like, you love drones, you like making content, you like helping people. And like, if we looked at the Venn diagram of people who also have some old 1980s Transformers in the background, it's a pretty small amount of population. And here we both are talking. And even though we've disagreed in the past, really at the end of the day, we probably would be great friends and realize, like, we are so similar. And I think that was a really important message for me that I want to spread here. To please go and watch that podcast. They asked some amazing questions. It was such a positive experience that I think it was important to share that with you guys. And yeah, we can all have our different opinions, and the internet can often distort things. But at the end of the day, we are all just a bunch of people who love these flying little robots and having fun, ripping packs in the park. And sometimes it can be easy to forget that we would be all great friends if we could all meet up and go and fly and have a good time. So yeah, I just want to talk about that little podcast. Something that was interesting as well is too, it can be really, one of the questions, I did like 10 rapid fire questions at the start or at some part. And one of the questions was like, did DJI or walk snail? And I was like, well, at the moment I'd fly DJI. And they thought that was kind of interesting because I'd promoted or spoken about so much about walk snail in the past. And then when I was like, well, have you guys actually tried this cheap, the Goggles L? And like, oh no, I haven't. So I think too, the internet can really push people in one direction where they're like almost like brand loyalty, like, I like this, I don't like that. And I feel like that's where my channel, I have really tried hard to fly a lot of different things and a lot of different products and have that experience where I can comment and say, and not be afraid to say, I like this one or I like that one. And it's not about bucking the trend. It's just about people giving the best information so they can have the best time when they go out and fly. And I'll tell you guys now, like, sometimes that's the wrong word right there. I cop a bit of flack over flying walk snail, and people would often be like, oh, what a shill for walk snail or anything like that. But if you look at my flying history, like now I'm flying DJI, but if you look at my flying history, I fly what I like. and I have no brand loyalty to any other brand that is out there. I want people to have a healthy market to enjoy the skies, and I will fly at the time what is right for me. And I could switch tomorrow and be totally fine with that. And a great example is I flew around with Fat Sharks. For those people who don't know, Fat Shark was the dominant brand. And then all of a sudden, there was a cheaper pair of goggles, which was like $200, called the Onway Commander V1s. I flew those. People absolutely got very irate that I was like, these are my goggles of choice. They're like, you're getting paid. Something must be up here. Now, you know what it was? I really liked those goggles. And I feel a big part of why Onway did so well is because I was flying it. Then people like Grumpy Trev on my channel, they started flying around with Onways, and it sort of gave that brand a little bit of exposure. But for a while, it was like, oh, you're flying around with Onways? They're subpar. No, they worked for me when 90% of the people were flying around Fat Sharks. And then guess what happened? I switched over to Sky Zones. So there's a huge part of my channel where you'll see Sky Zones for about 2 years because they were my goggle of choice. And then you'll see me flying around DJI V1. And then I jumped over and I flew Walksnail for probably most of 2024. That was what I was putting in my own quads for personal flying. 2025, I like the O4s. So that's what I've chosen to fly with. I'm flying around DJI, and that's something that I think I can really offer the community is a broad experience of flying all the different systems and being versatile and malleable in what I think is right with all the given circumstances. And right now, if someone asks me, what is the best that you can fly on? This is my flying experience. This is what I want to do. I feel like I have a pretty broad knowledge base of experiences to be able to draw from to provide them with the best information. All right. Anyway, that was a bit of a long randle. Crunchy staying. Crunchy, I see what you're saying there. I think there's probably more to that. I don't want to stir up any drama by reading that one out. Let's say Stu Cops more complaints that you're on DJI. Damn, DJI never plays with other company gear. I think that's one problem with DJI, absolutely. And I've been critical of all these companies. And this is, unfortunately, there's probably one situation where it's going to be more difficult for me to review a certain brand of goggles coming up in the future. But that's something I don't like about, it's not DJI. That's something I don't like about DJI though, is that they really don't want to open up that ecosystem. And I can understand they make great gear, but it is a little bit frustrating. I wish we had a little bit more control of that. They're kind of like an Apple-like company that they control everything. And if you don't like it, bad luck, go somewhere else. Let's see. Whoopsie is saying, need the council to make permanent FPV flying areas. I disagree. I think we just need to have some safe regulations on what you can actually fly. And if you don't do it, it's like breaking the law. Kind of like driving a car. Just drive your car sensibly. And yeah, people are going to break the law and do those things, but then they can get in trouble for that. But just like, don't go above 100 meters. Great. Okay. Don't fly 20 meters within people or property or something like that. Okay, great. And if you do that, don't fly over the top of people. Oh, okay. Done. Like if they just gave me those, I think that would be the best regulations possible. If you have a drone, don't fly over people, don't fly within 20 meters of near people or private property, and don't go above 100 meters. And then I don't see how that poses any safety risks for me. I don't know, maybe Bruce from RC Model Reviews probably has some much better, more thought out recommendations. Yeah. All right, let's see. On my goggles still work 50 years later, almost. DJI never plays with others. Spell check got me. Let's see, because that's probably it, guys. Like I wanted to talk a little bit about action cameras. I know I've gone some long rants. Probably the important thing that I would like to say after all this, and thank you for being here, is that we talk about drones a lot here, but I really want to hammer this part home that you listening to this, yeah, you, and you're thinking, he doesn't actually mean me, but I do. If you are hearing this and you're sort of looking up to the side and thinking, okay, what are you going to say? I am going to say that you really are valued. And I truly care about you, and thank you for being here. And I'm very grateful to have you as part of this audience and part of this community. And thank you for your time. And I might be a random Aussie guy here in Australia, but I really am talking to you. This dude on the internet, here I am, and I'm saying to you, thank you for being here. And for that one person that thinks, Stu, I'm actually not feeling that great, I would like to let you know that I truly care about you, and you are valued. You are valued, and you are heard, and most of all, that you're not alone. You may feel it. You may feel isolated. You may feel anxious. You may feel depressed. But I would like to let you know that I know what it feels like, and you are not alone. We have an amazing community here. Thank you for being here, and you're heard. And you can reach out, and you can send me an email. You can message me on DYFPV. And it's not afraid. You don't be afraid to reach out. No one's going to think you're weak. It takes strength to actually admit that to yourself. And please, if that is you, the most important thing that I believe that you can do you deserve to have a good life, right? So that's why I'm telling you this is just go and speak to someone, speak to a professional. Don't suffer in silence, because I'm saying this because I care about you and I want you to have a great life, and you deserve to have a great life, and you are special, and you are unique, and you are cared about, and you are not alone. So, all right. That's it. I can see Drone Camp's in here. He's saying you are I and I are you. There's I know a lot of those words in sign language, I think. Actually, my daughter's been teaching me some sign language at her schools. I might have spent 6 years FPV, but here we are just swooping around. What action cameras are a good size? I don't actually think action cameras are a great choice anymore. I'm just going to fly around with my DJI stuff. I want to give a shout out to Drone Camps, because I know he's been doing a lot of content for a long time. And this is probably something that I think as well, because I sometimes see a bit of flack for Drone Camp's channel, but I'm still grateful for what he does for our community, for his audience. And the big part that I want to mention is that we are all in this together, trying to enjoy FPV, and we are all so similar. It's not those small differences create big divides, but you're all so similar on here. So thank you for that free content that people get to watch. Other people saying, thanks, brother. That is it, my friends, for the end of the stream. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day. I will have some videos coming out soon. Huge shout out to my members. If today is the day when you say, Stu, I do like your videos, I do watch quite a lot, and I do check into the streams, how can I actually help you support the channel, support what you're doing over on DIY FPV? One of the best ways is you can become a member. There's some bonus videos right there. There's Stickman Steve and myself having some fun flying some wings. There's like breakdowns of HD0, Walk Snail. There's some separate videos on DJI that are there for those members only. There's battery charging guides. Like a lot of cool videos are over there. Go check that out. And as a bonus, not only are you super cool for doing it, you also get to support this channel so I can continue to do this, because this is what I've chosen to do, and your support does go a long way. Cool. All right. Let's see. I think that's probably it. Someone's saying Drone Camp's been a huge resource for us and the UFPV folks. Who's saying then Drone Camp's saying peace. Other than that, subscribe for more FPV related content, and be awesome. All right. See you guys. Actually, I am back. This is, if you are still here, this was my reminder to say, please go and fly. I want to see a post of yours on DIY FPV next week. Please, when we look at this, I want to see some flights. So you can say, hey, Stu, I took your advice. I hadn't been flying for a couple of weeks. Even my old gear, I went and flew it. Go do it. Please, please. I want people to go fly. I'm going to go fly straight after this. I'm pumped. All right. Just for fun. Go do it. I want to see those videos of people enjoying the skies. This is your wake up call. If you haven't been flying recently, go and do it. Even a whoop flight inside the house. You owe it to yourself.